Hello and welcome to In the Court of the Wenton King. Today we will be reviewing
Heroes by David Bowie. Or Bowie.
That's right, Heroes by David Bowie. That's the album there. Fortunately, it's a really good album.
In some people's opinion.
Yeah, I think this is a much better album than Low. It's more of a finished, complete album, and you know, whereas the sort of throwaway indie pop songs have become these big, dark, schizophrenic prog songs. So it's great. I think the instrumentals on the second side of Low are probably better than the instrumentals on Heroes, but other than that, this is kind of the definitive Bowie album, and which is interesting because traditionally it's often the journey that's better than the destination. So here, Low was where he was finding the stuff out. Heroes, you know, is the destination. And Heroes is better. You know, unlike Prodigy, Guilty Generation is a better album than Fat of the Land. Or with Yes, there's no doubt Fragile and Close to the Edge are better albums than Tales from Topographic Oceans.
As he was, as we sort of previously explained, I'm not a really Bowie.
David Bowie.
I wasn't a Bowie fan or anything like that. I didn't really know anything about his albums. I knew his famous songs.
The Buddha of Suburbia.
I knew him from films
David
that
Bowie.
he'd been in, and sort of it's taken a little bit of a while to get a grasp of
What the hell?
Yeah. what it is that people like about Bowie? Is it just the music, or is it everything that comes along with it? Obviously, there's the characters he creates and the sort of the clothes he wears and the attitudes he adopts. His sort of like morphic personality.
I don't know the answer to that. I don't understand any of that. I mean, to me, it's just the music.
Right.
But I think you're right. I think Bowie fans like the whole package.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, when you sort of do see any discussion about Bowie between normal folk, not sort of musos, the comment that comes across is, "Oh, don't you just love Bowie?" What does that mean?
Does it mean the music?
Do you mean the music, or do you mean the person?
Or the clothes, or something, yeah.
The person is kind of appealing. So I've sort of... I committed to sorting this all out in my brain, such as it is. Do I actually like Bowie? What do I like about him? And stuff like that. And I was sort of starting to grow to him with Low,
right,
which was interesting. But as I sort of listened to this, it didn't work. I'm afraid it didn't work. I've come to the conclusion that people actually like David Bowie the person, and I'm sure they do like the music. But I think there's a bit of my brain that's missing that just doesn't latch onto it, because
no David Bowie.
He's incredibly popular, like.
Yeah.
And there must be
scary monsters.
There must be something in it. I just can't find it. I tell you what I feel like. I used to sort of play Garth Marenghi at people and Andy Kaufman clips on YouTube at people to see their reaction, and that kind of fed into the comedy a little bit. And I got a kick out of people going, "What the is that?" And that's kind of how I feel like the tables have been turned on me a little bit. I'm sort of listening to it and go, "What is this?" Okay. It's not tuneful. The lyrics are completely cryptic. I mean, there are endless debates about the lyrics online. So themes seem to me to be quite parochial. They're very centred around him. They're not taking on big issues or anything like that. And the sensibility is very modern art.
Yeah.
I talked about Damien Hirst last week, and that is something else I just can't get my head around. So I think there's probably a little bit of dissonance between me and sort of Bowie music.
Yeah. Which
makes it very difficult for me to enjoy. Again, I've sort of partitioned off side one, side two. Side one's the Bowie stuff, stuff. Side two's the Eno stuff. I do like the Eno stuff.
Interesting. Yes. So it has Robert Fripp on it, which is fitting, although he was replaced on the tour by Adrian Belew, who was probably more suited to it. And in fact, Robert Fripp, coming from, this is between his monk period and reforming King Crimson, so this is his New York period, where he did 3 big albums, including Peter Gabriel. So first song.
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast. As soon as it starts, you realise this is a different album to Low. I don't think this is the strongest song on the album, but it's a big, noisy, Talking Heads kind of rock song. It is clearly a rock song. I think that's the distinction between this and Low. These are finished rock songs, rather than sort of throwaway posing songs.
I quite like this. This is probably my favourite track on the
Alright.
of the Bowie stuff.
Some mental guitar playing, supposedly first take, allegedly. Track 2.
Joe the Lion.
Joe the Lion! Yeah, this is really good as well. Really angular, staccato guitar playing. And I don't think it's necessarily written like that. I think it's in the way it's performed, which makes it all the more jerky and talking headsy. The vocals are very shouty on this one.
I think that's what put me off the track. It was at this point I realised, no, I can't go with this. And it was his shouting vocals.
Yeah. Joe the Lion!
It's very difficult to pull off.
Yeah, it is, I can't do it.
But why would you want to pull it off?
Why do you want to do that?
It feels completely amusical.
Right.
Maybe that's the interesting thing about it, I don't know.
And more cool guitar. Track 3.
Heroes.
Heroes, the famous song. I do think it's a rock song. I don't think it's a pop song. I think, to me, this is a rock song. I can't explain why these are all rock songs. Vocals are a bit shouty. I think the live version from stage is better for that reason, I think. But it's interesting that I think this was improvised. So he was actually improvising the lyrics as he was going and recording. And what we hear is him writing the lyrics.
And I mean, I heard a little story about this. That they went to the studios where they were going to record. David Bowie came in. He had the idea for the song there and then, and went and spent 10 minutes in the toilet. Came down and had these ideas jotted down and wanted to record it and did it there and then. It's actually, I think, the song that gets him more fans as the generations move on. It has the theme itself has very widespread appeal. It's coming out of his sort of inward lookingness a little bit, sort of incorporating other people. We can be heroes, but again, it does go back to the sort of.
In the end, it's all about him.
Yeah,
whether it's about him trying to alienate himself,
yeah,
or not, it's always about him.
But there is something that just chimes about it.
Yeah.
With everyone, I think.
Yeah.
And it is a fantastic song.
Yeah. I think it was recorded in a strange way. He had some sort of microphone, loads of mics with gates on them, which would be triggered at certain volumes. So you would have to really get the volume up to
trigger them all.
I'm going to indulge now. I'm going to indulge and talk about King Crimson. When I went to see him in 2000, you have to remember King Crimson aren't famous for playing their own material. It's 21st Century Schizoid Man doesn't get played at all. It hasn't been played other than about 6 shows in 1996. It's not been played since 1974. They don't play their own old songs. So I went to see them in 2000, and it was the expected loads of new stuff that was still very new and scary. And then they encored with Heroes, and with a band playing, I could hear the gasps of astonishment in the audience. It was awesome. And of course, they were effectively Adrian Belew and Robert Fripp were both on it.
Yeah. Explain why they did it.
Yeah.
Next song.
Can I say it?
Yeah, go on.
Sons of the Silent Age. I really like this, and very typical stereotype of Bowie. If like a comedy show did a parody of Bowie, that's what it would sound like. But it's brilliant. I think it's fantastic, and it's moody and with weird vocals. And
everyone says that this is a real dark period. His lyrics are dark and all that, and it's dark. I don't see it.
Oh, okay.
Where's the darkness?
I think there is on some of this album. I don't think there is much on Low. Most of it on the second side, obviously.
Yeah. Again, see, I'm automatically separating the Bowie stuff from the Eno stuff.
Mm.
Track. Blackout.
Last rock song, really. I really like this song. It's just a really good song. Cool guitar. Very much in the vein of Beauty and the Beast and Joe the Lion. That kind of thing. It's the talking headsy Bowie rock song, which is developed from Low, but none of the songs on Low have got that intensity to it. There's an intensity to it. V2 Schneider. Now it's funny you mentioned about where's the darkness. I'm sure if you read reviews of this about it's such a dark marching song.
Yeah, but
it's a big happy do 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 do. But I do like it. But it's although it's mostly instrumental. It's very typically Bowie.
This is probably sort of like a bridging piece, 2 sets of songs, and because it is mostly instrumental, I do like it, which makes me wonder.
You just don't like the singing.
Just don't like the singing, maybe.
Obviously the singing is weird,
yeah.
Particularly by this stage. Probably the weakest song on the album, but I do like it.
I quite like it as well. Yeah.
It is basically inane, isn't it? It's good. Next song.
Sense of Doubt.
Sense of Doubt. This is, in a way, incredibly simple, and if you thought about it, you'd think, well, is that it? It's just a little bridging piece, isn't it? But it's great. It's really good. No, 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 no. And there's the call and answer thing, and it resolves at the end. Lovely.
In the symphony Philip Glass did of this, that is a standout part of it.
Got a bit of it.
You remember that sort of like intensely.
I've not heard it yet.
Okay, the darkness is coming in now.
Yeah.
It's obviously dark.
Has a happy ending though. There's a resolution at the end.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if you've got the two types of songs. Maybe it's the two sides to Bowie. Everyone's got two sides.
Yeah, it's deliberately obtuse and not clear, but there is basically two of them working on the album.
Next song, Moss Garden.
Moss Garden, nice sounds, clink, 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 clink. It's kind of oriental sounding, and it's good, and it's instrumental. I think these generally are more soundscapey and less compositions than previous ones.
There's the sound of a rocket or something at the beginning and the end of the track, which kind of seems to hark back to the Space Oddity type stuff, which is quite nice. He does
do that ever so occasionally. There's a reference to space, just a little bit, and that's cool. I've always liked that.
I suppose it also references The Man Who Fell to Earth.
Yeah,
I like Moss Garden. Next track,
Neuköln. You have to say it with a sort of European Neuköln accent. Yeah, I think this is the best of the instrumentals. I'm guessing you don't, and the reason being will be the saxophone playing.
It's very proggy.
Yeah, it sounds very proggy. Of course, it's David Bowie. He's a saxophonist. He's famous for not being very good at playing the saxophone. But this sounds to me like quite accomplished playing, deliberately being crazy. And there's that motif thing he keeps playing. It sounds quite accomplished to me. And then when he goes crazy at the end, he goes, bah, bah. It sounds like someone who's really good at playing. It doesn't sound, you can make those sounds by just picking up a saxophone, obviously, but when someone who can play does it, it sounds different. And this sounds like a really good player. I wonder if, in his virtual cleanness and new focus he was practicing. That's what it sounds like. But yeah, very proggy and noisy and saxophone.
You hit the nail on the head, Kev. The saxophone kind of kills it for me. I don't know what it is. It sort of reminds me of gong. Yeah. It's not nice saxophone. We're gonna make this jarring, and we're gonna make sure you hear it because we're gonna stick it really high in the mix and do weird things.
Yeah, and but that's the thing. This is prog. This is a prog album. You probably won't get people saying that, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a prog album. It sounds like prog.
That brings us to the final track.
Final track. I can see this being controversial to some people because it obviously breaks the flow of the album, where you've had the second side with the instrumentals, and it is another typical Bowie thing, kind of epic sounding, like a movie soundtrack. But I really like it, and I think it finishes off the album in a great way, rather than just ending.
Does it sound Arabian to you? That sort of Middle Eastern sort of.
Sort of. It's not actual. It's not actual Eastern scales, is it? But it's like a Western movie from the 50s about Arabia. It's strangely short. It's the big epic, and it really is epic. I love the way it builds up, and but it's 3 minutes 44.
I think these songs again. It happened on low. The fact that you're listening to these after the sort of the Bowie
Joe the Lion
stuff kind of helps. It reinforces this music. Yeah. It feels.
It all fits nicely together.
Yeah, if you were to listen to that in isolation, it probably wouldn't be as strong or as interesting as it is.
Yeah. Well, Secret Life of Arabia would fit on a Bowie compilation and would have less effect on a Bowie compilation. You think, well, that's just another song. Mm-hmm. But it nicely rounds off the album.
So is this one of the best albums ever made then?
Supposed to be.
In your opinion? I
think it's the best Bowie album, having revisited Station to Station. But this is one of the albums that I know so well that it's redundant. I've heard it too much, like Led Zeppelin 4, so I kind of can't. I really like it, but that's because I know it.
Okay, that's Heroes then.
Yeah. I think it's a great album. We will return for the next stage, and the next stage is Lodger.
That's the final one in the Berlin trilogy.
Yes. Goodbye.
Goodbye.